Welcome everybody to our webinar on ticketing for contact center automation. We're really glad to see you all here, and we're going to be talking about the case management system in SeaX, which is Seasalt AI's cloud contact center. All right. Just to let you guys know, this webinar is being recorded for training purposes and also to post up online afterwards for anyone who would like to come back and view this webinar at a later point in time. If you have a question at any point during the webinar, please use the raise your hand feature in Google Meet. And of course, feel free to post any questions via the chat. We'll go ahead and do a dedicated question answering section at the end of the webinar and go through any questions you guys have at that point. So what we're going to go ahead and go through today is first we'll give you a quick introduction to Seasalt AI and SeaX. And then we'll go through a couple of demos of the SeaX case management system so you can see how it actually works and what the SeaX case management system can offer to you. And then, like I said, we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So to start off, I'll go ahead and pass over to Shuchen, the CEO of Seasalt AI, to give you a quick introduction to Seasalt and what we do.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, looks like we got a lot of slides introduced the company. I'll just try to keep it as short as possible. We started in Seattle about 2 years ago, and we partnered with Twilio to provide call center and contact center solutions to the majority of the world. Currently, the company has about 20 people based in both Seattle, and we also have a local dev office in Taiwan, supporting a lot of our North Asian and Southeast Asian customers. Next slide would actually show our product line over here. Today, what you are seeing is what we call SeaX, which stands for Customer Experience, our collaborative contact center solution. SeaX is built exclusively on Twilio platform right now. Twilio provides all the infrastructure of communication, such as messaging and phone calls. And SeaX does all the software of agent workspace and then knowledge base, etc. We also power SeaX with our own AI engine called C-Suite that has a lot of deep technology about a conversational AI, about the speech recognition, speech synthesis, and natural language processing. And from the client's point of view, they would subscribe to our contact center solutions and also our AI capabilities, right? So this is somehow what we're building here. For people who are more familiar with Twilio, you can think of Twilio as the YaaS platform or PaaS platform, while we build a SaaS layer on top of Twilio and offer the product as a SeaX. Sarah, can we go to the next two slides over here? This is our, so basically what you can see here from this animation, on the left-hand side, we got a lot of customers from different channels trying to communicate with your brand. And on the right-hand side, we are talking about the contact center agents. They can either be human beings or little robots. And in the middle, all the red blocks are from Twilio, such as programmable voice, programmable chat and video, and all the green blocks are actually from Seasalt AI. Originally, whenever you want to use Twilio, you have to program, you have to use coding to put everything all together for a contact center solution. But now Seasalt AI is offering a kind of end-to-end, all-in-one solution to the customers. I think the next page, the isometric design, can help you better understand what do we got, right? So we think the future of cloud communication has 4 parts. Customers still come from all kinds of different channels, but now, given that the contact centers are all cloud-based, with a lot of automation using AI and natural language technologies, we think the agents in the call centers now are both distributed and super agents, right? So they can have their efficiency really optimized by quite a bit, right? So that actually brings out Seasalt AI's vision, which is that we want to provide 3 components in this isometric design. The 3 components are the product, the automation, and the agents here, right? Sarah, can you play one more? Yeah. So we first spend a lot of time in the automation part, and today Sarah is going to demonstrate quite a bit on the CX automation. And from our last webinar, we are talking about a knowledge base, right? AI knowledge base, and today is the ticketing and the case management. And then we ship out this product called a CX built on top of Twilio platform, and then this can be the agent workspace for different call center and contact center settings. And finally, we're going to go into the agent hiring and training business by providing this all-in-one solution to different customers. And if you just do one more slide, we're actually seeing that Seasalt AI actually provides everything in one setting, while our clients can only just focus on their own customers. Right? So this is our mission statement of how we are providing this one-stop contact center solution to all the mid-market and enterprise call centers based in both the US and also in Asia. Right? So with this short intro, I will give the stage to Sarah. And today we're going to exclusively talk about the case management and the ticketing for call centers. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you very much. All right. So yes, today we're going to be talking about the SeaX case management system for call centers. And sort of the main focus of the benefit of the system is SeaX's native integration between the call center portion of SeaX and things like the case management system, the knowledge base. That native integration, the sort of the main benefits it really brings are the cost effectiveness and agent efficiency to your call center, having all of that information natively shared between all the different parts of the call center. So sort of looking at this and also a couple of the most common solutions for a ticketing system or a case management system, the native integration between SeaX's ticketing system and the call center portion of it means that you can benefit with all of these specific features, things like being able to click to dial directly from a case in the system, link call recordings directly to a case, because all of that information is shared across the entire platform. The native integration also enables a lot of automation. So being able to automatically send messages to the customers and have those messages update information directly into tickets or cases, because again, all of that information is shared because it's all in one simple platform. So to look at a specific example with click to dial. So I'm going to just quickly go through these 3 other systems, so HubSpot, ZenDesk, and Salesforce, and look at what it would take to integrate one of those systems, the ticketing systems from one of those products, with something like the Twilio Flex dialing system and have click to dial directly from the case. So with HubSpot, you can absolutely integrate the HubSpot CRM directly into Twilio Flex, have your calling directly next to your case information. HubSpot does actually have some click to dial functionality, but it is HubSpot calling. And so it will be completely separate from having the full functionality of a Twilio Flex or a CX call center system. There's a disconnect between that and then the ticketing system in that CRM. And so you wouldn't be able to do sort of a full integration between these two in that case. With Salesforce, you can, again, absolutely integrate Salesforce with sort of the Twilio Flex dial pad. And you can actually do click to dial, which uses that dial pad. However, it takes some extra integration. There's additional work, and that a lot of the time can come with additional cost of having to do that extra integration. Finally, with ZenDesk, similarly, you can absolutely integrate it with that dial pad, and you can do click to dial directly from a case there. However, it actually takes even more integration. You have to go through a whole other set of processes that you can see over here in order to actually get it to send the call to the right place. And again, that starts coming with additional cost, additional time to getting that all set up. So sort of talking about that pricing as well, you can sort of see here there's a number of different levels at which pricing tends to fall in terms of these systems. But this page is actually only looking at the pricing for specifically the ticketing system. So whether that's Service Hub and HubSpot or ZenDesk support or Salesforce Service Cloud. If you then need to start actually making this contact center sort of a full-fledged system where you can do all of your work in there, you start needing to add, so you have a ticketing system, you have a CRM to actually store all of your customer information, and then also do some content management systems. You start having to add on extra packages, extra features, and things get complicated and costly very quickly. So with SeaX, we have sort of already bundled case management is our ticketing system. It also has features for being able to handle all of your customer contacts. So it has basic CRM functionality. And the knowledge base that we talked about in our last webinar handles all the content management that you would need for your contact center. So it's all in one system and one easy interface. You can access all of that. And you don't need to do all of the extra integration that starts adding even more costs onto that. So this native integration of CX, all of the CX systems on the Twilio Flex platforms really starts getting very cost effective as you look at all the different pieces that you need to build out a fully fledged contact center. So I'm actually going to go ahead and flip over into CX quickly so we can see what it would look like to do that click to dial in CX. So I have here, this is my agent workspace. I have my calling here, and I have some cases that are currently open for my agent profile here. And so since this is all natively integrated and all of these systems work together, doing a click to dial directly from a case is as simple as clicking the number. The case management system shares all of its information with my dial pad on the other side because it's all in the same interface and in the same system. So if I go ahead and click this number here, it all automatically starts dialing and I get a call on my phone. So this is all fully integrated, and you never have to leave this space to do all of that work. All right. So I'm just going to really quickly talk through sort of what the basic functionality of the case management system is, and then we can go back over and take a closer look at what it actually looks like to do case management in CX. So the basic functionality that you want for your agents, you want to be able to search for cases, add new cases, edit existing cases, take notes on what's going on while you're actually talking to the customer to make sure that you don't lose any of that information, and to be able to see what an agent's currently open workload is. And so in CX, you can do all of that in one agent workspace. Everything is fully available. You can be interacting with the customer on one side of the screen and doing anything you need to with a case on the other side. You can update its status, you can take additional notes. That's all available to you in one easy interface. We also have a couple of advanced features that are really, really useful for being able to keep track of all the information that you need. So we're able to directly link call recordings to the cases that they're associated with. And this, again, is because we have all of that information shared between all of the available systems on CX. So you can go back at any point in time later and actually listen to what was going on any call directly from the case ticket. It's all linked there and it's very easily accessible with one search. And then, of course, we have our click to dial directly from the case interface. All you have to do is be looking at the case you want to be working on, and you can call the customer directly from there. Finally, the last part of our case management system that you can interact with from the CX interface is we have an administrator dashboard to be able to, for an administrator, have a top-down look at what is actually going on with everything in the case system from one simple place. So on our admin dashboard, an administrator has a lot of powerful tools to really drill down into what's going on in the call center with the cases. So can see all of the cases, what status they're currently at, can search by agent, by any tag or attribute of a case, and can see what's going on and make sure they can keep on top of things and see anything that they need to deal with at any point in time. The other thing administrators can do is create new custom fields for cases. So we understand that everyone's business is very different and people need to store different information about their cases or their customers. So in CX, you have the ability to add any new custom fields to store customer or case information in order to make sure that you keep track of the information that you need to at all times. So I'm going to head back over to CX and we can take a look at what it actually looks like if a customer calls in to deal with a case and make sure that any information necessary gets stored. So I'm going to go ahead and call in. All right, so we can see there's this call coming in. I'm going to go ahead and accept the task. And you can see on this side, it actually is automatically searching any cases associated with this phone number and providing that to me as the agent to know, here's what's currently going on with this customer. Here's open cases, here's any cases that are currently elevated. Here's what's going on, so you have the information to be able to properly handle this interaction. So say this customer isn't actually calling in about this open case. They're calling in about something new. So I'm going to go ahead and go up here and add a new case associated with this task that's coming in. And go ahead and make sure it's correctly associated with the customer. And then I have a whole bunch of different things that I can do here. While I'm talking to the customer, they may be telling me that they need a refund on something. So I can note down that the customer is asking for a refund. And that I provided them with the correct details to complete that transaction. And then I can do a number of other things. I can go ahead and label this. So this is something with a discount. It should be associated with the sales department, perhaps. It's for the product VO1. And so these are all custom fields that we've added in here for this particular contact center of things that they might want to keep track of. So now that I have finished this, I'm going to go ahead and save this case. And now I have this new case that is open about this refund request. All right. So now that I'm sort of in my wrap up, I might, do a little bit of editing, make sure all my notes are good, that I've noted down everything I want. And the final thing I can do is go over here to this embed task recording button and click on it. And this is now automatically grabbing the recording of the call that I was just on and associating it with this case. So anytime I come back to this case in the future or another agent comes back to this case, they will have that recording available to them to be able to, if say my notes don't quite clear up what they're looking for, or there was something specific said on the call that the customer wants to ask about, they can go back to that recording and take a listen and know exactly what was happening when that was going on. And so you can see this is now associated with the case. And if I click on it, it's just going to open an audio recording so I can listen. And this is just going to be me talking about creating the case, so we won't go ahead and listen to it. But I would be able to go in here and listen to this recording and know exactly what's going on with the last interaction with the customer. All right, go ahead and complete that wrap up. All right, so that is sort of the basic functionality of this case management system. Customers can call in, have a case assigned to them, and the agents can go through and take any notes that they need to on either the customer or the case, so that the next agent that is dealing with this case knows exactly what they need to do at all times. All right. So the next set of demos that I'm going to do are associated with automations. So since CX is natively integrated on the Twilio Flex platform, and also all of the different components of CX are integrated with each other, it means that we can leverage that to do a lot of automations, since all of the information is shared across the different components. The case management system is able to see who is calling and what's going on with all of that. So I'm going to show 3 different automations today. The first one is, we've actually already seen an example of, is this automatic case lookup. So when a customer calls in, the system will automatically look up their phone number and pull any associated cases so that the agent can see exactly what's going on with that customer. The other part of this is that the system is actually also providing that information to the customer. So if somebody is just calling in to check on, do I have a case assigned and what is its status, they can hear that before they even reach a live agent, which means that that's the only information they were looking for. They can stop the call there, and they don't need to then take up an agent's time. So it means that agents can continue working on cases where they need to intervene or do something and deal with the more complex cases. So it frees up the agent's time a lot. The second automation we're going to take a quick look at is what we call issue status. So it's essentially the situation where, say, a case has been open too long. It's been open a week, there has been no more interaction, and we need to check in on what's going on with that case and if the issue is still a problem for the customer. So this allows us to automatically send a call to the customer and allows them to just enter an answer of, yes, this is still a problem, or no, the issue has been resolved, you can close the case. And it will go ahead and update that with no agent interaction necessary. So this is a way for administrators to be able to check in with a case without anyone actually needing to spend significant time dealing with that. If it is still an issue, then they can alert somebody to go ahead and reach out to that customer in person and make sure that this gets solved as quickly as possible. The final automation we'll look at is sending customer satisfaction surveys. So in a contact center, we're going to want to send customer satisfaction surveys after a case is closed to make sure that we can get as much feedback from customers as possible, so that we know, sort of have that analytics bar of where things might be going wrong or where things are going really well. So we are actually able to do an automation where, as soon as the case is closed, it goes ahead and contacts the customer and asks them to respond to the survey. And it does it every single time a case is closed. So it makes sure that the survey is always sent to try to maximize the amount of responses that we can get back from customers. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and step back over into CX, and we can take a look at those 3. So first, I'm going to go ahead and call back in and turn my speakerphone on so we can actually hear what's going on when I call before I even reach an agent.
Hello, John. You currently have 2 cases open with us. You last interacted with Agent Sarah Reed on 2022. July 7th, P1823 and 41 seconds, 0.603645. The case is currently open. If you need to speak to an agent about this case, please press 1.
All right, so it was able to go ahead and grab that this customer, John Smith, has 2 cases open with us, and that they last talked to me, well, today, and that the case is currently open. So if that is the only information the customer needed, that the cases are open, and that they've talked to somebody recently, then they can go ahead and hang up and move on, and that never hits the call center. And so an agent doesn't need to go check that information and let them know this is what happened. The system is able to automatically do that for us. All right. So the second automation that we're going to go ahead and look at is that checking on issue status. So if I go over to our settings tab, we can actually take a look at the case management dashboard for administrators. So here I can go ahead and see all of the cases in a certain time frame, what's going on with them, how many of them are open. And we can see here the case that we just created. So say it's been a week and nothing more has been done on this case. It's still considered open. And as an administrator, I'm coming in and saying, okay, I need to check in on this case and see if something needs to be done on it. So I can take a look at it quickly and see what notes. And you can see, okay, it got referred to somebody, but then nothing else happened. So I'm going to go ahead and click this messaging button here and automatically contact this customer to see if something needs to be done.
You've had a case open with us for a while. We're just checking in to see if the matter you contacted us about is still an issue. If you would like to close this case, please press 1. If you would like the case to remain open, please press 2. And one of our agents will be back in contact with you soon.
All right. So I'm going to say,
thank you for your response. Your case status is now elevated.
all right. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the issue hasn't been resolved, and something needs to happen on this. So now if I come back to this dashboard at a later point in time, after the customer has responded to that, we can now see that the case status is elevated. So as the administrator, I would know, okay, this needs attention on it immediately because something's going on with this case where we need to get somebody on it as soon as possible. All right. So finally, we're going to say somebody has gone ahead and contacted somebody about that case. The issue has been resolved. And it's been updated to closed. So as an agent, I've sort of dealt with this case. I'm going to update the status to closed. All I have to do at this point is I've finished my interaction with the customer, and I'm going to save this case as closed. And I'm going to get a phone call.
Contacting CX. Please let us know how we did in resolving your issue today. On a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with our service? Please press a number to input your answer. Thank you. Your response will be recorded.
All right. So I went ahead and answered that question. And now if I go ahead and look at this case again, reload this. Here's the case we just closed, and we can now see it's been updated with a CSAT score of 5. So as an agent, all I needed to do was go about my normal business of talking to the customer and saving the case status as closed. And the automation went and handled the rest of it. Contacted the customer, gathered that response from them, and then updated the case. So this CSAT score field is actually implemented in SeaX as a custom field. So this particular contact center wants to collect those CSAT scores from customers. And so over in their administrator dashboard, they have updated in custom fields this CSAT score. And so that will now be on all of their cases, and you're able to then add collected scores to that field. Right. So main thing that makes SeaX stand out really is this native integration. Because of the integration, you're able to do things like automatic click to dial between the case and the dial pad in the contact center. And all of the automations, so automatically searching for cases, matching phone numbers, responding with case status, creating new cases. This is all possible because of that native integration in the system. That's very convenient. It saves agents time, and it means that you can always access the information you need across the interface. With other integrations, doing something like that would need significant front-end retrofit and API support. That kind of non-native integration gets very costly and is often very error-prone. So if there's one thing that you take away today, it is definitely SeaX has native integration. And that native integration leads to cost effectiveness and agent efficiency across your contact center. Right. So at this point, does anybody have any questions?
I have a question from the audience. I want to ask, how much effort does it usually take to integrate case management system in SeaX if you have a native integration versus other integrations such as HubSpot or ZenDesk?
Yes, so the SeaX case management system, because it is already natively integrated into the system, doesn't take any effort to set up once you're setting up a contact center with SeaX. It's already part of the system. It's just a matter of essentially turning it on. With sort of other systems, with HubSpot, it's things like embedding it into a contact center solution, but then there's still a disconnect with things like click to dial. It doesn't fully integrate something like Salesforce or ZenDesk. There's a bunch of additional steps of making sure that the click to dial connects properly to the right pieces. They're on top of also embedding it into the system. So there are several extra steps of getting that all working properly. And then, of course, you end up running the risk at some point of something in that chain of connections not working properly or having a bug. And then you need to go in and fix that.
Got it. I see, yeah. And what is the most used automation feature that you demonstrated today of all the 3 or 4 different automations? What are the most useful feature for call center?
I think in terms of like enabling agents to quickly get access to the information that they need, the auto lookup is definitely one of the most useful because it will just automatically pull that information for both the customer and the agent. So you have that information at your fingertips. It enables the agents to get their work done faster and enables customers to have the information they need without necessarily having to go through a long conversation of I'm looking for this and that, and I just need to know this one piece of information.
Right.
I think in terms of like keeping getting the contact center the information that they need, definitely the CSAT score, making sure that gets sent every single time. It doesn't get forgotten, and you really maximize the number of responses that you can get back from that. And that gives really good insight into how the contact center is running and empowers administrators to make any changes that they need to keep the contact center really running efficiently.
Got it. Great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I guess I can also share from my own personal experience that for almost every customer we run into with our contact center integration, the very first thing is always they want to see the pop-up as soon as the WhatsApp message comes in or short message or a phone call comes in, and they want to know who's calling. And even some customers would want to say, okay, can you whisper the customer information into the agent's ears, so they know exactly the background over there. So this like automatic lookup with native integration is excellent. If there are no further questions, Sarah, thank you very much for today's webinar. Last month, we talked about knowledge base, and we demonstrated quite a bit of automation based on phone calls or incoming messages. And then the agent can be assisted with our AI knowledge base to automatically reply with some suggestions from our knowledge base. That is all hosted on Seasalt AI events page. And next month, we're going to talk about voice automation. We're going to talk about how to use speech recognition and speech synthesis in your contact center to have some consistent voice and branding for your agents. Please stay tuned, and then we're going to be posting more event information on our LinkedIn page. Thank you, everybody. I guess that's all for today. Yeah, thank you, Sarah, very much for today's webinar.